Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. It is Kira, your host, and I'm actually really excited for today's session. I know I say that every week, but it's just true. And that's the exciting thing about why we birthed Motivational Monday is because we wanted Mondays to be a really cool time where you could have something to look forward to and something that would propel you forward throughout your week. So before we dive into today's session, which is the healing power of dance, which I'm really excited, we have a TED Talk that we're going to watch together, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. I'm curious how many of you were thinking a little bit more about music over the past week since we talked about the healing power of music? Drop 111 in the chat if you are like, I've actually been thinking about music a little bit more. I was doing my Spanish at like 6:15 this morning and I was like, "Ooh, I should put on classical music." And I need to listen to music at all times. If I don't have a soundtrack playing in the background, then my life just isn't as fun. And it was really nice and I've noticed my brain picking up on different things. So, before we dive into dancing, I'm also curious, is there a song that you've been loving this week or a new song that you found or an artist that you love? Share your music with us. Oh, I shared your Bad Bunny story with family and some friends. That's really sweet. I'm so excited for you to be on the island and to just see and feel it all. I have I been okay, something that's cool in the music world is I am learning Spanish. I don't speak Spanish yet, but I'm learning it. And one of the things that I did in the beginning was I just started listening to Spanish music and speaking the words, maybe not even knowing what they mean, but looking at the lyrics and trying to pronounce them right. And I found a Spanish artist that I love, and I went to their concert and everyone was trying to speak Spanish to me. Story of my life. I'm half Puerto Rican. Everyone thinks that I speak Spanish. And yeah, they were local. They came here for a local show, which was really cool. And they ended up winning a Grammy. They won the Latin Alternative Album of the Year. And I did not expect that. I didn't know how popular they were, but they won a Grammy and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." So none of you guys have songs that are just like beating in your heart right now? That's fine, you don't have to. But we're going to be diving into the power of dance if we're done talking about the power of music. And then next week, we will be diving into the power of laughter, which I'm really excited for this one. And there's one other thing I was going to say. Oh, on Wednesday of this week at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we have our second session of the Being Human First series. So, this one is all about thriving through self-care and not the put a face mask on and take a bubble bath kind of self-care, even though that's really important, but more of the internal foundations of self-care, a lot of the thoughts, a lot of the stories that we tell ourselves, a lot of the ways that we can support ourselves. And that's also why we're talking about the healing power of music, the healing power of dance, because these are ways that you can actively practice self care in your life in a way that actually has a profound impact. So, the Being Here Human First series, I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you to register for this Wednesday session. It's me and Dr. Dave. He's a neuroscientist and he's the VP of our guides community, developing all of our guides. It's really cool. He's so cool. And then we have Raquel. She is one of our guides. She's amazing. She has the most positive energy ever, but she has a crazy story and she's endured a lot. So she can help us learn how to navigate through the challenges of life to become the people that we were always meant to be in a place of fulfillment, in a place of satisfaction, and coming from a place of wholeness. So the link is there. I hope to see you on Wednesday, and we send out the recording on Thursday if you happen to miss it. So, with all of that being said, we are diving into the healing power of dance today. And before we do that, these questions I'm about to ask you are going to lead into the video that we're about to watch. How many of you struggle with your mental health on a regular basis? You can drop 222 in the chat. Beautiful. And if you want to elaborate a little bit more on what that is, whether it's anxiety or limiting beliefs or these thoughts that you're not good enough or the stress that someone's gonna find you for the fraud that you are because you're just a human doing your best, but people want you to be this machine, drop that in the chat. Drop 333 in the chat if you struggle with your body image. Every single one of you are saying all of the above. If you all feel this way on a regular basis, the Being Human First series is going to be significant in helping you grow and develop out of that. And a lot of us deal with body image struggles as well. So I asked these two specific questions. Oh, I have one more question before we dive in. How many of you isolate yourself? And by that, I mean you don't go out and meet new people, or you have the opportunity to do something new, but you won't go do it alone, or you just stay home with your family and you don't put yourself in new situations. Drop 444 in the chat if that is you. Wow. That's beautiful, Brandy. I cried this morning because I always feel like I'm going to ruin it slash mess it up. Now I'm asking where it came from. I can tell you where it came from, and we can talk about it on the Being Human First series on Wednesday. And then also the following Wednesday, so not this Wednesday, the following Wednesday, we have a live mentoring session with Dr. Dave, me, and a guide as well. And these specific questions you can ask us, and we'll help you in live time navigate through it. And all of this is in an effort to help you have a guide who can help you find more of that satisfaction within yourself, more of your wholeness, and not feel like the things that you're feeling are normal. Just because they're normal does not mean it's okay. And I think that's the biggest reason why I birthed this Being Human First series, is because just because things are normalized in our society does not mean that they're okay. But a lot of us, look, I mean, you can literally see it in the chat. We're all stressed. We all struggle with mental health. We all struggle with body image. We all isolate ourselves. It's normal, but I promise you, we were never made to feel all of that on a regular basis. And that's where a lot of chronic diseases come from. The list can go on and on. I can talk forever, but there's a TED talk that we're going to listen to. I ask you all of those specific questions because they're going to come up in the TED talk, and then we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards as well, as we're listening.
I feel free. That was how she answered my research question, how do you feel when you dance? And as she stood there, with her both feet anchored to the floor and proud posture and smiling, I couldn't stop thinking that this was the same girl that 8 months ago almost couldn't come to our dance intervention because of her psychosomatic pain and anxiety. I feel free. Now, I guess that if I asked you the same question here and now about dance, there's a risk that some of you would feel the opposite of free, like uncomfortable or terrified. Anyone? Dance can bring our thoughts to performance, expectations of being perfect for someone else that is watching. But dance can be so much more. It can increase body awareness and empower young people to feel at home in their body. And this girl, she really embraced that. She was part of our study where we showed that dance intervention for 8 months could strengthen mental health in teenage years and complement school healthcare. And I'm here today to tell you what we learned in the study and how.
And one thing I'm going to say is this is a TED Talk. She talks a little bit about the health of dancing and how that impacts us overall. But the study was done specifically in a school setting. At the end of the day, it's still humans and it still impacts us significantly. So, what she says in regards to the school system and the way that it has influenced and impacted in the school system is valid in a normal day-to-day setting as a human being existing in the world. So, that's the one thing I want to say.
Dance can be a powerful tool with potential to be used much more to strengthen health. Mental health problems are currently among the most serious public health challenges. Teenagers, especially girls, suffer from bodily symptoms and mental distress at alarmingly high rates. It can be a recurrent stomach ache, headache, feeling nervous or depressed, which leads to not only individuals suffering, but also school absence and high societal costs. By age 15, over 50% of all girls experience multiple health complaints more than once a week. And this girl,
And again, that's why I asked the question of your mental health as a whole as well. Because if this is happening to us as young as 15, when we're younger, that really sets the foundation for a lot of our mental health and our physical health to come. When you start looking at epigenetics, it's the study of how the environment and the situations and the way that we think and feel and show up in ourselves changes our genetic expression. However, it takes work to be able to undo the pathways that we've already developed from a young age. So if we were experiencing this at 15, chances are we're still experiencing it in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond if we haven't done anything to change that.
she used to be one of them. But that changed. The results from our study are in line with other large systematic review studies. Physical activity is an effective strategy to ease stress and increase mental health in youth. It has beneficial effects on well-being, mood, and self-esteem. However, there's a catch. To get these effects, we need multiple days a week over a period of time. And how do you do that? How do you even begin if you feel that you don't belong? One step is to keep the activity in line with interest. And dance is an example of a popular physical activity, but still, you won't go unless you have support or feel welcome. So this is where our experience of working with implementation comes to use. Over the years, we have learned that to reach those who need this the most, we have to work in close collaboration with school healthcare. And we have to create a judgment-free and enjoyable environment. And the dance is being held twice weekly after school hours. And today, I'm glad to say that over 600 instructors have been trained in the method, which means a reach for thousands of adolescents in Sweden and Nordic countries. Actually, the Dance for Health method has gone from research to being an award-winning social innovation with implementation success far beyond expectations. But it has not always been easy. When I was a PhD student, I often found myself having to explain or sometimes even defend my research area. Dance in medicine, it was diminished. It was considered confusing or sweet. I mean, when this is really about empowering our next generation. I remember somewhere along this journey, at a poster session at a research conference, a man approached me. He read the poster and sighed, "Dance?" And then he walked away. But then he stopped. He came back. He read the whole text and he looked at me and said, "This must be inexpensive." Yes. Very low costs, health economic benefits, and less visits to school nurse. He kept on reading. And then he bursted out, "I bet people think this is fun." Yes, dance is one of the most popular activities in youth, which is very good for attendance rates. And then he looked at me completely silent. And you could almost see his thoughts come together, almost like he solved a puzzle. It all made sense. And then he read the affiliation, Örebro, Sweden, and he said, "Sweden, you Swedes. You Swedes, you're so ahead of us, so ahead of us." And then he walked away, and I never saw him again.
Don't be that guy. If it's one thing that I can say here is, and this goes for all of Motivational Monday and everything that we do in Life Guides, sometimes it's really easy to see that things are helping other people and to see that they can help us but it's easier to walk away because we haven't developed that habit yet of thinking this could help me and I could benefit from this and I want to do this and maybe it's scary and maybe it's hard, but I think it'll have a great impact. Don't be that guy.
So this is kind of funny, but it summarizes the journey that I have experienced in Dance for Health. How more and more people now realize that we need to approach this huge mental health problem in several ways. And it makes sense to use a body-based intervention that is inexpensive and fun. We already have tools to increase quality of life built in our body. We just have to start using them. The rhythm is already there. We just have to start moving to it. Today, I will share with you the core concept of Dance for Health. What we have learned during the years, 4 keys on how we can dance our way to a better mental health. And the first is joy of movement, which is the best fuel we have to keep up motivation for regular participation in any physical activity. But there is more. You know when you hear your favorite song played on the radio and you turn up the volume and can't help dancing like crazy in the kitchen? Or when you find yourself in some serious headbanging in the car? Do you ever, at the same time, think about your next job meeting or an upcoming test in school? Do you ever, at the same time, have self-doubt, body image concerns, or negative thoughts of your worth? No. Because when you are completely absorbed by the movement and music, you are in the present moment. And there, you don't judge. Your cognitive thinking can rest for a while. And you have shifted from your top-down to your bottom-up approach, where you have activated your connection to the body and stimulated your senses, which gives you an opportunity to just be. And this presence in the moment, it is both mental recovery and a strategy to decrease stress. We learned from the dance study that when feelings of joy of movement were established, it opened up for a playful creativity, an urge to explore new movements. And the body went from being something that they were constantly monitoring to being more like an amusement park. So instead of worrying about appearance, they started to embrace their full movement potential. Self-doubt faded away, and feet were stomping and music pumping, and the dance became a source of enjoyment and increased self-trust. The interesting part here is that they themselves described that this self-trust, it was embodied, portable, something that they could bring to other situations in life and also translate to confidence. So I heard several stories on how they now could have presentations in school and talk to new people as they had learned to believe in their ability and claim more space in the room. Through joy of movement, they now experience their own body as a positive resource. And in these times where body image concerns are increasing and every scroll on social media is a risk for comparison or feelings of failure, this has never been more important. After dancing in our group for 8 months, one girl came up to me and she said, "I would never have come back if you hadn't said what you said to me during the first weeks." So I had to ask her what that was. And she said, "Well, you said come as you are. You don't have to do anything else. Just come as you are." So the very key for her was that the dance was totally free from performance. that we didn't rehearse for a show. That was crucial for her. And she was not alone. Experiencing daily stressful internal and external pressure is a common reason for mental health problems in youth. And there are very few everyday situations where you can get a time out from perceived demands and sociocultural norms. So it was crucial. But we still work with choreographies. We love it. But we stimulate the participants to do it their way and include improvisation. And interestingly, it is as though when we remove everything that has to do with judgment, everything that has to do with right and wrong, we foster an accepting attitude and open up a whole new world of possibilities to move freely. For me, a favorite part of leading a dance group is when I see when participants find each other, when their eyes meet, and the music is suddenly mixed with laughter. So dancing together creates social bonds. The nonverbal communication, it is powerful and develops a feeling of social inclusion, even if you come from different schools or have different socioeconomical backgrounds. The opportunity to make new friends can be a strong reason to participate. And it's comforting to know that you're not alone. Connecting with others who have similar stress-related problems gives a silent togetherness. You know, when you can just look at each other and you just know that matters. And the last key factor in Dance for Health is about seeing what you have. Remember the 15-year-old girl? She still has struggles. We all do. It's part of life. But what she has done to feel free is that she has allowed herself to dance anyway. It is allowed to take break from problems, to leave the worry at the door, so you can be reminded of all that you are and add your colors again and live closer to your heart. Like the girls in the study used to say, when I dance, I turn into who I really am. Or it's like you sweat out all the shit you bring from school or whatever. Dance can help you step into a new embodied energy, a new way of being you. So instead of constantly trying to fix what is broken, see what you have and what you can do today. So maybe you have heard of the expression, the way you feel, you move. It's a fascinating thought, how feelings are shown in bodily posture and movement patterns. But I am even more fascinated by the idea of turning it around. The way you move, you feel. As a physiotherapist, this knowledge is integrated in my work. As a dancer, I know it by heart. So the human ability to use bodily movement to increase mental health is perhaps one of the most underutilized tools that we have. Existing healthcare is burdened by long queues and lack of resources. And there's a need for cost-effective, non-pharmacological, and patient-active methods to help alleviate workload. So if we let dance be a part of prevention and treatment for young people, we not only introduce a new physical activity in their life, there's a chance that we open up a new way of approaching life. A small step on the dance floor can lead to great steps in life. The 15-year-old girl, she is now over 25 and a promising future leader. So, by helping young people to feel at home in their bodies, we can make strong societal impact. I believe that what we need is knowledge and trust. Knowledge that small changes can have significant outcomes, and trust that the tools we need are already inside us. The rhythm, it's already there. Let's start moving to it.
The healing powers of dance. If you guys would like to drop any insights or like moments of clarity or any breakthroughs in the chat, I would love to hear. And you can drop 555 in the chat if you feel like that was really impactful for you. And again, it was talking about school students, right? But it's really human nature in general. And there were a couple of things, we're coming to a close, but there were a couple of things I wanted to say and a couple of resources I wanted to give you as well. So she went on to say that they could give better presentations at school. And 80% of people have a paralyzing fear of public speaking. 80% of adults have a paralyzing fear of public speaking. Most people do not like public speaking. But it's an important skill. It helps us be able to articulate ourselves. It helps us to be able to get our ideas out, and it gets rid of a lot of that social anxiety. So dancing allowed her to perform better in the situations that would normally give her anxiety. She now had trust in herself. And one resource that I wanted to give you, there are a lot of other things I wanted to say, but we're running out of time. If you are curious about dancing and bringing that more into a practice in your life, and not necessarily choreographed dance, but a space where you can go and you can dance and you can be, I learned about something called five rhythms when I first started my dance journey. I was not always this confident. I was not always this great of a speaker. I had to develop a lot of different skill sets to get there, and dancing was a huge one of them. Five rhythms is it's like a sequence-based class kind of where you go through 5 different types of rhythms, but you just flow freely. There's no judgment. You're not doing a choreographed class. You just flow in whatever way it feels best for you. And it's awkward at first, but then you look at everyone around you and everyone's just at home and feeling good in their bodies, and you get to be at home and good in your body, and you get to experience the great results of that. So, if you go to fiverhythms.com, the link that I dropped in the chat, you can find a class near you, hopefully, potentially, and start your dancing journey. So, thank you all for being here, joining us for Motivational Monday. Next week, we are going to do the healing power of laughter, which I'm really, really excited about. And again, on Wednesday, we have our Being Human First session, part 2. And then the following Wednesday, we have our live mentoring session with me and a couple of our guides. So thank you all for being here. Have the most beautiful Monday. I will see you next week. And I hope between now and then you get your dancing shoes on and get moving. Bye, everyone.